Hi, welcome back to the Break Free podcast with Rachel, and I'm super excited to have AnnMarie Kirkpatrick with us today. She is a longtime friend of mine. I can't tell you how badass this woman is. She is a huge inspiration in my life. Somebody that I've been incredibly excited to have join us here on this podcast because this is a person that keeps going no matter what. She's chasing her dreams so hard even when nobody else is cheering her on. This woman gets up and she keeps going, and you're going to hear all about that. You're going to hear about what she's up to. If she does not talk about it, I will be sure to talk about it, because when I think I can't get up and go do this today, I think of how hard AnnMarie is training. She is training so hard for what she wants in life. I can guarantee you not every day she wants to get up and do it, but she does it anyway. And so anyway, I'm going to let you tell, I'm going to have her tell you a little bit of her story, and we're going to go all through this break free.
Wow. Thanks, Rachel. Super nice.
It's true.
You're going to make me cry on your podcast. No, seriously, thank you. And so my story, I guess, I have been a lifelong, just lover of the outdoors, I guess. And I ran in high school, and then I kind of took like a 10-year hiatus. So after having a couple kids, I took it back up after also moving to Colorado and kind of being reinvigorated by the mountains here and just all the stuff you can do outside. So it was a great way to stay in shape. I met you very early on after having my second kid. And I think really what catapulted everything was definitely an inner joy of loving to run and starting to train and see results, but also just this group of women who bonded together and loved fitness and worked hard together. And that was something that I needed at that time.
Yeah, that's really cool. So, all right. Is that all you're going to say?
So I started running and racing and at the local level.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is this good?
Let's go.
And I just really loved it. So I saw some success. My time started getting better. And as I got faster, I would set higher and higher goals. And so 2017, I ran a marathon and qualified for the Olympic trials, which was something that I never thought was possible. And I remember crossing the finish line and thinking, wow, I thought I would be just totally satisfied with that time. I thought running a 2:45 marathon would just fulfill everything, and I would never crave any more success. And I just thought that was so fun. I just want to try and get faster now. So it's kind of been this, reach a goal. And then the thrill was really in the challenge of just attaining it and then moving on and then setting the bar a little bit higher. And then the goal just became to see how far I could go. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
So when we're sitting there in your garage, I would take my daughter over to AnnMarie's house, because back then she had a thing called Garage Band, Kids Garage Band.
Yeah.
And she would take everybody in town. She'd take their kids in her garage. I'm just kidding.
That's not creepy, guys. It's fine.
And they would have a fabulous time. I was sitting there with AnnMarie, and I sat across from her, and I said, hey, I'm thinking about doing this run. Do you think you want to do it with me? I had no idea whether she's a runner. I didn't know anything about any of that. And she said, I don't know if I'm ready yet. Cause you just had your second, right at that time.
Yeah.
And she was like, I don't know if I'm ready for that. It sounds fun. But, so I remember that so vividly, because to have this conversation with this person and then to see how far she has come has been incredibly mind-blowing. And why I want to pull you guys back to this moment is because at that time, how many years ago was that?
Man, like 6, 5.5 or 6. Yeah.
5.5, 6 years. Okay. From that moment, how soon after that did you just start running? Not really training for anything, but just kind of running.
Yeah, that was, so I met you right when I was starting. That was the beginning, because I had just quit my full-time job to make more time in my life and be with my kids more and do garage band, which was like a music thing, not just kids hanging out in my garage.
I was hoping they got that, but yes.
Yeah. And I actually really remember that vividly too, because I think I had a lot of self-doubt. And the thing I love about you is when someone says like, well, I think I want to do this. And I remember saying, I want to just do really well. Like, I want to win races. I don't want to just run them. Mm-hmm. And you were like, then do it. And it was awesome, because I think for a lot of my life, it's been more about like, well, what are your challenges and what are the obstacles to do that? And not that you don't need to understand what your obstacles or challenges might be, but there also has to just be this overriding, like, yeah, do it. Do what you want to do. So yeah, I too.
So when you started running right then, how fast were you running?
Oh,
a mile?
No idea.
You don't know?
No, I didn't have, I had like a Timex watch, so I would just run for time.
You remember?
And I didn't.
Of like 30 minutes.
Yeah, I would just go run for like 30 minutes, probably even less starting out, and just like push the kids along in a stroller and run around. Yeah.
How do you know how fast you ran your first race that you did after that time?
I'm not sure if it's exactly my first race, but I do remember running a 5K at Shoes and Brews, and it was like a 19 and change, something, 1930 maybe.
Okay.
And I remember thinking it was so fast, and I would probably never run any faster than that.
Yeah.
And then, so now my PR is like 17 low.
17 5K. 17-minute 5K.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
I'm not necessarily like speedy. So I feel I specialize more in the marathon. But yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So what is your time now in a marathon?
My PR in the marathon is 2:37.
2:37:49.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the average of minutes per mile?
So that pace is 6 minutes per mile.
6 minutes! Do I just scream that out per mile, you guys? I literally think people are sitting there trying to wrap their mind around a full marathon 6-minute miles. Like, seriously, I want her to talk about what break free means to her, but I also want her to talk about after that I think a lot of people see people accomplish certain goals and they're like, they forget about all the work that it took to get there. And that's why my very beginning of talking about AnnMarie was talking about this woman doesn't stop. She gets up and trains and goes for what she wants and is relentless for it. And that a lot's been put into her being able to run a 6-minute mile for a marathon. Like that, it's so much more than her just showing up for a marathon or just it is day in and day out. And I have seen AnnMarie sacrifice so many different things in life to make sure that can happen. I mean, even to the point of just going out with friends and saying, I'm not going to have a drink. I know that may sound silly, but like she is straight up for her goals 100%. And she's going to do whatever it takes to make it happen. And that is something I find so inspiring about somebody when they can do that. So, AnnMarie, what does break free mean to you?
Okay, so, and one thing I do want to say, because you mentioned the sacrifice, and I mean, you are right in a way, but I think when you really develop a passion and love for something, that you don't think of those things as sacrifices. It's just like the tools that you use to get you to where you are. Mm-hmm. So kind of shifting it to, I'm not sacrificing this. This is what I want. And so this is the path I have to take.
Yeah. Love that. I love that. Thank you so much for saying that. I really, really love it. I do. I think a lot of people thinking about it and just a choice of words, knowing that when you really, really want something, it doesn't feel like you're sacrificing something. It doesn't feel like that. It feels like this is what I do to make this happen. Like something that truly fills me up, lights me up, I'm passionate about. And God, I can relate to that so much. I say people probably look at me all the time and they're like, man, look at all the sacrifices Rachel makes to do all the things that she doesn't like. But the thing is that I wake up with a fire in my soul and I would do nothing. I love this more than anything. I don't feel like it's sacrifice. It doesn't feel like work to me. It feels like this is what I want to do in life, and that's what fills me up.
Yeah.
So I love that she said that, and that's already a tip that we can take away today from this podcast. So cool. Thank you for sharing.
So no more pressure on that.
So when I ask her for tips at the end, she's going to be like, "Wait, I already gave you one."
No. Okay. I love the break free. Like the saying and what it means and what it can mean, something different for everyone. And for me, I think initially it was kind of breaking free from this ceiling that maybe I had set on myself. Like, as you mentioned, I mean, honestly, 6 minutes per mile right now is crazy to me. And I'm going to try and run faster than that. So it shouldn't be, but it really is. And so for me, I had to break free of any sort of limitations that I had or ceilings that I had set on what I thought I was capable of. And I think doing that, honestly, watching other people who have done it before me was super inspirational and helpful in shifting what I thought I was capable of doing.
Right. Okay. So break free means to you of breaking through the ceiling of what you think is possible.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. What I think I could do. So I just said, I want to see what my full potential is. And in order to do that, I have to believe in myself. And so I'm not going to think, X minutes per mile is how fast I can go. I'm just going to try and go as fast as I can go. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're not setting ceilings on there is no ceiling. Is what you're trying to say. Yeah.
And I've probably reined myself in a little bit now just because I have gotten closer to maybe where, you have to sort of like have some reality checks too, because you don't want to be disappointed with how you do. I mean, set really high goals and try for them and don't set ceilings. And then when you start to figure things out, I think it's okay to rein it in a little bit and just say, all right, this is good for me. And this makes me happy still. And if that's true, if you can say that and be true, then it's still worthwhile pursuing.
Okay, so I have a question about that because I am a true believer that the only way to be disappointed is if you have expectations. Mm-hmm. See, expectations create disappointment. Okay, in my mind. So how can somebody still set goals, I guess, and expectations of themselves, but not feel disappointed?
Well, I think that's another part of, and this relates to probably much more than running, but patience in what you're doing, because you might have a goal or I might have a goal and I might not reach it for 5 years. And maybe I want it right now. And I would love to run American record or whatever. But as long as I've tried my best and I know that every day I've gone and trained my hardest and did everything that I could to reach that goal and then run the race and put everything into it, I just feel like you can't be disappointed if you've done your best. And so then you have to realize your goal is still your goal and it can still be there, but it just might not be right then that you achieve it.
That was awesome. I love that. That was perfect. I think that was a great thing for us all to think about when we're thinking about, man, especially everybody just set goals for the year, thinking of things that they really want. And maybe even already a few weeks in, things have already passed that they haven't necessarily hit that goal in the time maybe they thought they would or they wanted. But looking at it in a different perspective of okay, well, but did I put in my best effort, right? If you showed up and did your best and then looking at that, okay, now I'm just going to I'm still going to get there. It just wasn't right now. And that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's just showing up and doing your best and being and knowing that, like, if you show up in life, if you show up for yourself, if you show up for your goals, if you show up for the things that are important to you in life and do your best, knowing that is good enough.
Definitely.
Your best is good enough.
Yeah, definitely. And then knowing why do you want something? Why is this goal important to you? Because it should be very internal. I think maybe, someone might set a goal based on what they've seen someone else do, and then come to realize that doesn't really necessarily work for them, and that's somebody else's goal. So really, if you're not reaching a certain goal and it's frustrating you, maybe think about why it is that you want that so badly.
Yeah.
And it just might not be the one for you, and that's okay too.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. All right. So what brings you joy in life?
Oh my goodness. Well, that's
relating
a loaded
to
question.
This.
Yes.
I know there's probably many things, like your kids and your family and all those things, but what?
Yeah, related to this.
Yeah.
I think it's a challenge. It's a mental and physical challenge. There's nothing like, and I'll bring this back down to earth a little bit, because I know most people probably don't enjoy. There's nothing like, the 24th mile of a marathon where you're just like stripped down mentally and physically, and you just have to figure out who you are and you have to persevere. And it's such a challenge that, and I love that. But also just the day in and day out training, and working for something that I feel like is bigger than me, and that I'm proud of, and that just is something different. It's not the go to work and do the normal things that are also great, but it's just something that's my own.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I love that. So how do you bring this joy to other people's lives, or how do you share this with them?
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things, but I have to be a little careful because, I'm super passionate about running, and I would love for everybody to just come run with me and just feel what I feel. But, I think trying to get people, so, we can talk about Supermamas running, the group that you were talking to me about, this fitness group, and running these things and sort of like sharing with other women, because that was a time in my life that I felt like I don't even know how to get started. And I think for people, that truly does bring me joy, is if someone is like, I don't know if I'll like this, but I want to try. Mm-hmm. Like, I do love just encouraging people to try it. Or through running, I've done several fundraising events, and that is really fulfilling. So anytime I feel like I'm making a difference, that brings me a lot of joy, whether it's in someone's life or an organization. Yeah,
I love that. Okay, so I do believe that AnnMarie is very good at that, encouraging people like, hey, this might not be for you, but why not show up and try? Why not try something? Why not try? Why not try and see if you like? I think when you said about me doing the Chicago Marathon, you texted me, and I think you said, I'm excited to see you find your love with it, or something like that. I don't know.
Well, I was convinced you were going to fall in love with running.
Yeah. What AnnMarie said about it hitting that 24th, that, and when you, like, everything else is stripped away, and pushing yourself and really working hard for something. When she's saying all those things, I'm like, oh my God, I love that. Like, that's what I feel the same way. I feel the same way. It's just been about different things. It's been in a different way, but I get what she's talking about. And I think a lot of you listening to this podcast be thinking, maybe it's not with running, but you get and you connect to what AnnMarie is saying, in that moment of life where it's just like, how are you? Everything feels like you have no control over it right now. You feel in that really, really low place in life. Like, how are you going to get up and make it to the finish line anyway? Right? How are you going to get there anyway? And not only get there anyway, but like giving it your all, showing up for for yourself in that moment when it feels so freaking hard. And I hope that you guys take that away from like what she said, that truly can be related to anything in life. It's where she's found that joy. Joy.
Yeah, there's so many parallels, I think, between running and life and any sort of physical activity, really.
Yes, 100%. Okay, so that's how you find joy. So what tips could you bring to people's lives besides thinking about the word sacrifice and how you're using that and related to, what you're going for in life?
Related to fitness, I would say, for me, it's about like a habit, creating a habit. If someone were to ask like, well, how can I get started? And we'll just bring it back to running, but, just replace it with whatever sort of activity you might want to do, like biking or, going to the gym, whatever it is. I would much rather see someone who wanted to get into running not go out and just run for an hour hard and then be totally beaten down and sore and the next day. I think that is, you're physically hurt yourself. You've mentally created this negative experience around what you just did. And I would rather see someone do like 5 minutes every day for a week and just create a habit and carve out a little time. And then the other thing, I just think it's so important just to have like a base of, a basic healthy habit for yourself. And I think that people don't think that they have time, but they're totally worth it. And it is worth it to show up for yourself so that you can be there for other people. So that would be my first tip, I guess, of someone just like freshly getting into it. And then just from the encouragement that I received from people was amazing. I think that I had a really supportive husband and friends, and surround yourself with people who are going to encourage you and find joy in what you do as well. Or maybe they don't, I have one friend in particular who she's like, I totally do not get what you're doing. I don't understand running. I don't even know how many miles a marathon is still. And we've been friends for years, but it makes me so happy that you're happy. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really important because nobody does anything alone. Mm-hmm. And I certainly have not. It's very time consuming, and it does, I do it, I understand that I do it at a different sort of level, but for anybody who just wants to do anything that they're passionate about, or just, getting fitter, just surround yourself with positivity.
Yeah, I love that. A lot of people I get asked this all the time. So I'd love if you could answer this. Man, I'm really looking, and I think you did at the very, very beginning. You said about starting into it slowly, but I want to see just what you're pulling.
Okay.
I want to get started in running. I want to run a 5K in a few months. Where do I get started?
I think several questions would be, what is your goal? Is it just to finish? Is it a time? If it's just to finish.
I haven't been in running before. It's something that I just want to be able to run the whole 5K.
Okay. So we're super lucky here in Fort Collins. And this might not be true for where other people live, although it is getting to be more prevalent. But like our local running stores all have running groups. They all have connections and people who can help. If someone was really, really lost, there's tons of online resources about like coaching programs, but if someone was really lost, a local running store would have references for coaches. But if you're just very self-driven and internally motivated, you can just buy a pair of running shoes and start running around your neighborhood and run, just increase your running every day. If you need more guidance, I think we're so lucky in 2020 to have, you can just Google, how do you start running a 5K? It's amazing. Like we have all the resources at our fingertips, but I think getting that group of people, like I said, is pretty important. For a lot, if you're more of like an extrovert. And so finding a group of runners, like at a local run store or something would be really key, I think.
Okay. I love that. I know that's a question that I often get. And so I'm really happy to hear you say that different. And I agree. We're living in a time now where so much information is available to you. And then also, I think one thing that a lot of people don't think about doing is tapping into the resource of finding other people to run with, to, other groups that are available, things that other people that
yeah. And on the flip side of, we have so many resources, that can also be overwhelming and confusing.
Yes,
so if you do Google that and you're like, well, AnnMarie said, and yeah, it's confusing. If you don't know anything about it, you can be like, well, there are 20 different things on here and I don't know which one to choose. Mm-hmm. So,
what's your favorite Couch to 5K program?
Rachel, I don't know.
Okay, she doesn't have one. How about, have you ever heard of the Couch to 5K app?
I mean, the term is familiar.
Okay.
Yeah. I was lucky. I had a husband who ran in college, and so he really helped guide me. And so I didn't look into any of that specifically. If I've heard a lot of people say for like a first marathon or something, they really like the Hal Higdon plan. And there's probably a 5K on there too.
Okay. Yeah. What is your favorite book?
So we'll just keep this running related. Dina Castor, who is the current American marathon record holder, wrote a book called Let Your Mind Run. And it's just it's even for non-runners, it's just very uplifting. It kind of like tells the story of her life and her career, but also just has a really unique way of how to shift your mindset when things get tough. And, she relates it a lot to running, of course, but I think it's also very interchangeable in life and just whatever passion you have. Mm-hmm. So,
are you going to write a book when you're the fastest woman in the world?
Yeah, Rachel, if I'm ever the fastest woman in the world, I will write a book.
Okay, will you write a book anyway?
Probably not, no.
Okay. And then what's your favorite quote?
So, it's funny. My youngest son, who's now 6, when he was like 2, he had this little phrase that he always said about anything that was hard, if he wanted to do something that was hard or dangerous. And I would say, like, Ansel, please don't do that. That's dangerous. And he would say, I can if I can. And then he would just go and like do his best. And maybe he'd fail and maybe he wouldn't. But for some reason, I've always found that going through my head during hard parts of a marathon, like thinking back on his little, I can if I can.
And I can if I can. I love it. Favorite. By Ansel.
Yep.
Okay. What are you most looking forward to in this next year in your running career?
I have to say the Olympic trials, because it's been a long time coming. I qualified. The qualifying window is 2.5 years, basically. So, and I qualified like the day after the window opened, I think. I might be exaggerating, but it
does feel like it's been a while.
It's been a while, right? Yeah. So I've had a lot of time to think about it and work towards it. And so it's been on the forefront of my mind for a long time. So that'll be a really awesome celebration. And just for anybody who does or doesn't follow running, it's just an unprecedented race in terms of the more women in the history of the trials have qualified than ever before. And it's also has the largest depth of field. So like the top 20 women could easily be Olympians, and nobody would be surprised. So it's just a really, really, it's like history in the making. So it'll be awesome to be part of it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Do you have a goal that you could share with us, or is that not something you really want to share?
Oh, I'm not. Yeah, I can share.
Okay.
I just, as like I've always said in every race that I've ever approached, I just want to do my best.
Okay.
It's not a PR course. It's very hilly and lots of turns. We're going to be running at noon. So in Atlanta, it can sometimes be hot and humid. But, the farther up, the farther in the front I can finish, the better. So I'm just looking for a place, and I'm hoping to just finish well, run a strong race, and finish feeling proud and empty also. Like I emptied myself out on that course and I had nothing left to give. And that will make me ecstatic.
Mm-hmm. I love that. That was a great answer.
Thanks.
It's interesting because I had somebody recently say to me, oh man, well, I don't know how recent it was, but they were saying, man, isn't it a bummer AnnMarie didn't do exactly what she wanted in that race? And I said, yeah, you know what? It is a bummer, but I don't necessarily feel bad for AnnMarie. What I feel is like empowered for her, because here's what I know is an athlete like AnnMarie, they may feel bad about something or feel like, man, I could have done better or whatever. And they're going to think about it. And then they're going to think about what they can do differently next time. And they're going to get up, they're going to wipe themselves off, and they're going to get freaking going again. That is what a champion does. And so I know that AnnMarie is a champion. I know that is in her heart. And so, if AnnMarie falls down, she doesn't do as good as she wants, she's going to get back up and she's going to try harder and she's going to go again. And I love, love, love that about AnnMarie. She's proven it time and time again. I know not every race has gone exactly as she thought it would, or maybe she had hoped it would, but it's never stopped her, ever, ever, ever. In fact, she's only gotten faster and faster and faster. So I just hope that you all take some stuff away from this podcast today that, empowers you, inspires you, and maybe you bring into your life of, whatever your goals are, whatever your dreams are, that it is completely possible for you. It truly is. AnnMarie, 5.5 years ago, sitting in the garage, talking about maybe running this race, to her now 5.5 years later going to the Olympic trials, y'all. Come on. That's incredible. I just can't give her enough shout outs. So how can people find you? Because you are so inspiring.
Oh, thank you. So I think it's just my name on Facebook, AnnMarie Kirkpatrick, and then AnnMarie Kirkpatty on Instagram, which is just a little spinoff because Kirkpatrick was taken.
That's okay. She had to look before of what her Instagram handle was, and I love that about her. So go ahead, give her a follow. If you're following along in with the trials that are happening, what's the date? February?
So they're February 29th. And it's 12 o'clock. So it'll be Colorado time, 10 a.m. Yeah.
10 a.m. Okay. Yeah. You follow her along, cheer her on, you guys. And thank you so much, AnnMarie, for joining me.
Oh, thanks, Rachel. It was an honor.
Yes. I honor all mine. Thanks, guys. Thank you for listening to the Break Free podcast by Fitness Festival Events. You can find our website at fitnessfestivalevents.com, where you can learn more about the events we have coming up, our Break Free community, and much more. For Instagram and Facebook, find us at Fitness Festival Events, or for our community, Break Free Community. For Rachel, you can find her on Instagram at rachel.pastor and email rachel@fitnessfestivalevents.com.